Hello everybody, my name is Mark, this is Riffle Shuffle and Roll, and today you're here to learn a game called Rumski. If it's your first time visiting the channel, be sure to hit subscribe and the bell so you're notified about new games every week. Rumski is a 5-suited rummy game for 2 to 6 players, although I suggest playing with 3 or more. And the chief game mechanisms are hand shedding and meld building. The objective for each round is to be the first player to get rid of all your cards. The objective for the game is to be the first player to reach the predetermined score. Let's dive in and learn how to play. You will need the Rumski deck, a way to keep score, and the optional Rumski game mat. To determine the first dealer for the game and who must keep score for the entire game, have each player cut the deck. The player who cuts the lowest valued card must deal first and keep score for the entire game. For a 2-player game, each player will get 12 cards. In a game that has 3 to 6 players, deal 10 cards to each person. We're going to do a 3-player game, so we will deal 10 cards to each person. After dealing the cards, place the remaining cards in the center of the playing space. This is the stock pile. Flip the top card over to begin the discard pile. The object of each round is to be the first player to go out. The object of the game is to be the first player to reach the predetermined total score. In a 3-player game, you want to be the first player to reach 300 points. You can play to any score you like, but Cardboard Games suggests playing to a score that equals 100 times the number of players. The larger the total, the longer the game will be. In Rumski, there are 2 types of melds. The first type is called a set. A set contains 3 or more of the same number. There can only ever be 1 wild card in a set. The other type of meld in Rumski is called a run. A run is composed of 3 or more cards in the same color in sequential order, such as 3, 4, and 5. A run can have a wild, but there can only be 1 wild in the run. Play begins with the player to the left of the dealer. To begin a player's turn, they must draw a card. They can either take the top card from the draw pile, they may take the top card from the discard pile, or they may pick up the entire discard pile. Player 1 chooses to begin their turn by drawing from the draw pile. They are already able to play a meld. They have a set of 3 ones, so they play the meld to the community. In Rumski, all melds are played to what's called the community. The community is made up of melds that can be played on by any other player at the table, as long as they have played a meld. If they have not yet played a meld to the community, they cannot take part in the community. Player 1 also has another meld. Here, player 1 has used a wild card. A meld can only contain 1 wild. It cannot have more than 1. Player 1 is done with their turn. In Rumski, you do not have to discard. If you do choose to discard, you must match the color or the number of the top card on the discard pile. So if player 1 wanted to discard, they would have to play a 9 or a purple card. They do not have either, so they are unable to discard. Play passes to the left. Player 3 now takes their turn. They begin by drawing from the top of the draw pile. Player 3 does not have any melds to add to the community. They are going to choose to discard. They choose to discard the 8. As the discard pile grows, be sure to stagger the cards in a staircase formation. This will allow for all of the card ranks to be seen. Play passes to the left. Player 1 begins their turn and draws from the draw pile. Player 1 has already contributed melds to the community, so they are now able to play extra cards to any of the melds that have already been played. They drew a 3, so they can add the 3 to that meld. And that is exactly what they're going to do. They have a 13, and they can play a 13 to that meld. And they have a 6, so they can add the 6 to the meld of 6s. Their turn is over. They cannot discard, so play passes to the left. If on a player's turn they want to pick up the entire discard pile, they may do so. If a player picks up the entire discard pile, they must end their turn by discarding. There must always be a card on the discard pile at the end of a player's turn. Alright, we're going to go ahead and fast forward to a later stage in the game, because that is where some very interesting things can happen. Rumski takes cues from other games like German Rummy or Robber Rummy, and it allows for wilds to be moved as needed. Following specific rules, wilds can be moved in such a way that players are able to build bigger melds or more melds. So, as an example, player 2 has the 3, 4, and 7 of green. The 6 has already been played in a meld, and they need the 5. So let's have them draw. They draw the green 5. Typically, this player would only be able to play the 3, 4, and 5. But in Rumski, they can move a wild that's available, switch it with the 6 in this meld of 6s, add the 6 to their meld, and play the 7. This way, they were actually able to create a meld of 5 cards instead of just 3. They are left with a single card. They're unable to discard it, so they weren't able to go out, but they were able to get rid of quite a few cards with that play. Let's talk about the rules regarding how wilds can move. Wilds can be moved around and used to substitute for cards as needed, as long as all of the melds in the community are legal by the end of the turn. So we are unable to move this wild from this set of 8s, because if we move the wild, we're only left with 2 cards in this meld. This is not a legal meld, so that wild is stuck there until somebody is able to add another 8 to this meld. A player cannot pick a wild card up and add it to their hand in order to play a meld. So here player 3 picked up the wild, added it to 2 11s, and then tried to play that meld to the table. That is an illegal move. That wild cannot be picked up and added to your hand. It can only be moved to other existing melds. Play like this continues, with players trying to build melds and play them to the community until one player is able to go out. Once a player has emptied their hand, the round ends immediately, and it's time to tally up scores. In this game, the player who goes out first and ends the round earns points based on the cards remaining in their opponent's hands. In this game, cards that are ranked 1 through 9 equal 5 points each. Cards ranked 10 through 13 are worth 10 points each, and wilds are worth 25 points. Each player should add up the value of the cards left in their hand and award those points to the player that ended the round. The game continues with the deal passing to the left. The first player to reach the predetermined score wins the game. Alright, that was how to play Rumski. Before we go, I want to invite you over to the Riffle Shuffle and Roll community on Reddit. This is my new home base. It's where I share my game pick of the week and where I encourage community members to share their own stories and memories and games that they know that I don't know. This is a great way for us to start sharing the games we enjoy and the memories we've created. So if you're interested in that, the link is down below in the description. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and remember, keep on playing.